Hi, I'm Wally and welcome to the EPC training video series. In this training video, I'll be showing you how to measure your floor area on Adobe Acrobat using your PDF drawings that you receive from your client.
Just a quick shout out to NSCert. Thank you for sponsoring the video. NSCert, your EPC audit partner. So in the previous video, I've showed you how to do the calibration, but just briefly again. So Adobe has a tool which you can find here, and more options, measurement, and there's our measuring tool where you can do distance and area. And in the previous videos I have showed you how to put the link to your shortcut tool on your toolbar. So in order to measure your site before the audit, you need to use Adobe Acrobat as a quick reference on measuring areas to determine the square meterage for your EPC audit. Now on this one here, the right hand angle, you can see that the scale has already been set. 1 centimeter is equal to 100 centimeters. So the scale on this drawing is 1 to 100. But just to show you again how to do that, right click. Once you've selected the measuring tool, right click, change scale ratio, and you change the ratio here, 1 equals 100. So for the EPC requirements, we need to measure each and every single office area, excluding internal walls. So I'm going to do an example on this specific building. I'm going to just, if you hold control and scroll the mouse wheel, you can zoom out and zoom in. This building has got 4 separate floors. You can see that I've already cleaned up the drawing. So in another training video, I'll show you how to take out all the other information on the PDF drawings and prepare a format like this, which is easy to measure for your audit. Also, what I like to do is using Google Maps, going even before I've been to site, to get an idea of exactly how the building looks and at least the construction type. So this is an office complex park of 6 different buildings, and this specific building is the one that we're measuring now. So here we can see 4 floors and sort of how the facade and balconies and things integrate, just to give you a bit of a better idea and perspective on what it is that we're measuring. So for our first measurement, let's just start with a normal room. So there's our walls. We want to basically measure this floor space. So again, holding control in and scrolling your mouse wheel, we can zoom in. So we're going to start from this corner. Again, make sure that if you have your measurement tool selected, it'll want to give you distance. Press escape, let's reactivate measurement. So ensure that you're here on area. So let's start measuring this specific room. So we go to the outline, hold control and zoom out. Again, control and zoom in. There's the furthest corner, the next corner. So with this office, we can either take it straight, and with the next office include that space. I'm just for now, for this first measurement, going to just give you an indication of doing it for now just as a square space. Sorry, zoom out, scroll up again, zoom in, and we click, 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 zoom out, and zoom in. So to close off this area, If it gives you a block and you click, and I'm going to illustrate click, it's just another point. So in order, and if you try and click there on that point, it won't allow you to. See, it gives you a circle. You need to hold it just short of that point, and you see it gives you a little open circle. If you click there, it completes the block. So there's 1,000 square centimeters in a square meter. So if you take your comma to the left, 4 places, this area we've measured now is 27.1 square meters. So there's our first successfully measured area in this drawing, 27.1 square meters. Now, if you measure, and let me just illustrate that, if you measure the next area, it will give it to you again as the same color. So if everything is in the same color, it's very difficult to actually establish where your boundaries are. So just select it and delete it. So what I prefer doing is every single space that's measured to change the color. So if you right click on that block and you go to properties, under appearance it gives you a full color. So I use greens and blues and purples. So by default, this would be at 100% opacity. So if you now say OK, it is, just press escape, you can see no detail. And that's also not.
Just a quick interruption. You remember to like and subscribe this video so that you can also receive notifications on any other future training videos that we do on the EPC training video series. Remember to like and subscribe.
Advisable when you do your audit. So again, right click properties. So when I do a measurement of an area, I like to make the opacity roughly in the region of about 20 to 25%. So now you have the color indicating that this is measured and where the boundaries are of this measurement. But you can also see the underlying detail of doors and lines and spaces and annotations that was made. And hence why I prefer to do it in a color. Okay, so there's our first room measured. Let's take this space as our next one. Okay, so using the side wheel of the mouse, just scroll left. So again, we're going to activate the measurement tool. And we check our scale 1 to 100 and we make sure that we're on area. Again, we take the corner areas. And there's an internal wall with a door. What you'll find is most likely that this is a store. And remember, store areas are excluded. So my advice would be to this area over here to measure that separately. If anything on a drawing appears to possibly be a store, measure that as a separate area and color it red as well, so that it's visually, you know, to specifically focus on your audit on areas that are red to verify and check. So I'm going to exclude this and measure that separately. So click, sorry, and again to zoom in and out, hold Control and use your mouse wheel. Again, that's a wall, it's indicated as a wall, so we measure the inside dimension. Scroll up, we look for the open circle to close the block, and we click, and there's our area. So this one again 1,000 square centimeters is a square meter. So if we move 4 commas, this area is 51.9 square meters. So now we've measured 2 areas. Let's continue and measure our third area. This potentially could be a balcony, because you can see the dotted lines, it's not a solid line. And again, if we look at the, and hence why I use the images of Google Earth, you can see there is balcony areas indicated as well. Although that would be somewhere here at the back of the building, which we can't really clearly see. So let's go ahead and measure that, but we keep it as, again, as a separate measurement. So there's our measurement tool is still activated. Again, the net area. This will typically be a building column. Look for the open circle. There we go. So this one, 17.5 square meters. Right click, properties. Let's just change the color to a green. And just zoom out. And let's do the same here. Click on this one, right click, properties. Let's make it a blue or something. And we make it like a blue color. So let's quickly focus on this area here, which we currently suspecting might be a store. So we're going to click the wall, measure the door, there, and there's our open circle. Doesn't want us, no, there we go, there's our open circle. So let's just press Ctrl Z to undo. So we're a few centimeters out there. Let's rather redo this. We click and we delete and just start over. So corner, 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 corner. Again, this will be a wall that's indicated as a cavity. Corner, and where's our open circle? There. So this potential store area that we're sitting with here, and you can see here, it's literally 1.1 square meter. 4 commas, if we move it open, if we look at the bottom right hand over here, 4 commas over, it's 1.1 square meter. So remember what I said is I like to color them red so that it draws my attention during the audit. So I use a red, and the opacity, instead of 20%, I make it like a 35 to a 40%. Just makes it a slight bit darker, and you can use our outside border. I usually use a blue or purple. So if we press escape now and we zoom out, you see in the overall drawing, when you print this for your audit, it actually shows this very well, and it draws your attention to that specific space. Let's tackle a measurement that is a slight bit more difficult than these areas we've had now. So I'm going to do 3 more spaces. The ablution facility here, the area over here with all these internal walls, which could potentially also be a store, and I'm going to do the stairs. Okay, so let's zoom in here. Ablution area, activate the measurement tool, make sure your scale is 1 to 100, click on the area, and let's start. So note that if you want to start on an area which you've previously measured and it's got a block, if you try and click there, it's going to highlight that block. So in order to avoid that or get past this hurdle, you either need to move this block out of the way or start with the area where it's not highlighted yet. So we're going to select a point which is not covered yet by a pre-measured area. So we start at an open corner there, you see, and it gives you the option to say. Now you can click on that area. Again, here with the ablution facilities, there's a wall, and these are usually service ducts. Again, if we can't see them, I don't measure them. So there is our ablution block. Let's 3 more clicks. Zoom out. And we look for the open circle to close off. There we go. And there's our ablution area. We zoom out, and this is 6.56 square meters. Again, right click properties, and let's just change the color shade. We make it a light blue. Okay, so maybe just a different color. It looks like we haven't measured it yet. Properties, and selected that blue. Okay, so let's take the stairs. Now, stairs commonly has a sort of central boundary wall, and I'm going to show you how to very easily measure this area and overcome this internal area and exclude it. So select our measuring tool, area, we check our scale 1 to 100, and we start with our stairs. Corner, corner, and this is where the tip comes to exclude this middle wall. So click there, and basically what we're going to do is outline this wall, and I'm going to click just short of this line, go across and measure the rest, so that in our measurement this is excluded. Instead of having to go two separate areas and make it very complex, at most we'll miss a square centimeter or two. So I'm going to zoom in really close, click there, click there. We'll see the result when we're done. Then go to our corner, go to our corner, 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 and we want to look for the open circle to close the measurement. There. See, if we click there, it would have just highlighted another point. We look for our open circle there and a conclude. So now we have the square meterage, but excluding this mid wall. And that is a square meterage of 13.56 square meters. Again, properties, let's just change the color to green or something. So hold and control, roll your mouse wheel and zoom out. Just press escape twice, 2 or 3 times. So that's where we are with our measurement currently. So in your audit, you would most likely find that this was by the property owner, this was indicated as an open area, but your tenant might have put subdivided spaces or drywalls or whatever. For the purposes of our pre-audit, we'll just measure this as one single area, taking in all these facades and spaces. Balconies we'll exclude, measure those separate, same here and same there. And in that way tally up. So let's tackle our next area. I said we'll do the ablution, the stairs, and this bit more of a tricky space. You might actually find that, so that typically a small cupboard like this is a fire hydrant. I just include it in whatever area I measure to include it there. And you'll see here as well as a door, to most likely also a fire hydrant or fire extinguisher or something. It looks like this most likely could be some sort of storeroom or cubicles. It's difficult to tell. So, but let's measure this as one space. So we activate our measuring tool, area, check our scale 1 to 100, and let's start. So we're going to just trace inner dimensions of this one. I'm going to use control and the mouse wheel to zoom in a bit. And again, using these snap to grids, it does make it quite a bit easier. To do the measurements. Hold in control, zoom out. So let's take it to this, we measure to this front wall, the entire area up to here. In again. Again, we'll do a trick like we did with the stairs to interlink these areas. Hold in control, zoom out, Scroll up a bit, zoom in again. Control, zoom out. Scroll up, zoom in. So again, not sure what this is. It looks like some type of opening for a cupboard or DB board or something. I'm just going to go straight across. We can check and verify that with our audit. Scroll down. Zoom in. Again, this is an area external to this room, so we'll include it when we do that measurement. There. Include this. So now, we now need to get across to this area here, but without cutting out this area. So again, the trick that I use there is I'll zoom in quite close, zoom out a bit more, just short of that click. It allows us to get past that point. Again, it's 1 or 2 square centimeters. It's negligibly small. Click, and now we can basically link those 2 areas. Okay, get around that corner, zoom out. Again, as I said, I'm going to include these fire hydrant areas in this room's measurement. Those are just partitions. I'm going to go straight into this room. Here you can see walls indicated, so we'll exclude them. It's just our door. Zoom out a bit so we can see our room. So we want to end up there with our where we started up. So click, click, control, zoom out, control, zoom in. Again, this will be typically a service duct. We're not going to measure that. And now we want our open, there we go. There's our open circle. We click, and there's our area measured. So by having done this small bit of overlap here, we've been able to measure this as one single area. Properties, and let's just make it, you know what, let's make this a red as well, because we suspect, and again the opacity, remember to make it a slight bit more, because we suspect it might be a storeroom, but we'll verify that with our audit. Okay, so this one, if we take the 4 commas, 25.6 square meters for this area. Okay, so where are we with our drawing? So we're progressing quite well. So we have stairs, and this, so the passage and the stairs I'll measure as one. We'll do that one next. This area is, it's a bit of an unknown. It looks almost like it could be, so here's a DB board or something, a DB board or service control panel. We'll include this space in this main area's measurement, same as this space here. This looks like it could be some lockable storeroom or a safe or something. So this space here we'll just measure as red and confirm when we get to site exactly what is this space over here. So we have the storeroom area, we have this passage and stairs, and this main area, and then we're basically done with this floor's measurement. So let's continue with our passage. So if we look at the layout of this passage, it basically comes into this stairway. There is an access door from the office open area. If we zoom out a bit, let's click here. It also exits onto the balcony, but I'm going to start my measurement here in line with the wall. You know, not there where the door, but where the building structure actually starts. So our measurement tool, make sure you select the area, check your scale 1 to 100, and we start. Click, make sure you click the corners, and control and zoom in, control zoom out, And zoom in again. It's the easiest way to move to your next points in order just to save time. I use the control function a lot to speed up the measurements. So if the video plays games with your eyes, I apologize. It's the quick in and out zoom that might do that. Again, remember here with the stairs, we're sitting with this middle wall that we want to try and exclude. So we do our trick again, click, we outline this wall, and we're going to just short click of where it ends and zoom out, take it across, didn't want to click there, and bring it across, so zoom in there, scroll right, corner, corner, exclude the wall, corner, corner, and zoom out again, scroll up, zoom out, scroll up, scroll up. I actually could have excluded that little wall, but let's just do it with this one here. We can fix it post the audit. But again, it'll be a very small couple of square centimeters, if that much, that will give us. Open circle to conclude the area there, and there we go. So now this area, 23.6 square meters. Why I'm not too stressed about a small little area like this, it is very seldom that you'll find a building exactly constructed in line, perfectly squared to the drawings. Majority would, but you have difference in plaster thickness and drywalls and tiling and so on and so forth. So a small little area like that, I don't fuss too much about it and delete it out. Again, we'll verify everything on site when we do our audit. Just change the color, properties, I'll make it a different shade of green, and we have our area highlighted for the passage. So now finally we can start with our bigger area. So let's just zoom out. So we're basically going to do this space over here. I'm going to exclude those. It looks like balconies. We can check it when we do the audit. We'll go in there. I'm going to exclude this area here. I'm going to go in there, outline this, outline that. There, we'll include those because it doesn't show separate walls. We're going to include those. This little cabinet here for fire extinguisher, the service duct which is accessible, that one which is accessible, and that's our square metrics. Okay, so let's start. I'm going to zoom in, press escape. Now we have to reactivate the measuring tool again. Make sure we select area and check your scale 1 to 100. So let's zoom in and start by the corner. Click and click, zoom out, scroll down, and zoom in, click. I've got a side wheel on my mouse, so I'm just scrolling to your right. If you don't have that, you will have to use the bar at the bottom to move your drawing. And for that specific reason, I actually just bought the mouse with the side scroll wheel to help with the left and the right. Click there. Let's include this internal area because it shows the door that it's accessible. The same here with this duct. If it's not bolt closed, I'd rather include it in our measurement. Scroll a bit right. Zoom in. There. I'm not going to worry about this little bit of a bump there, but we don't want to include this wall. Zoom out. Scroll a bit to the right again. Zoom in, you can see that's a fire hydrant. So let's go inside there. I'm going to exclude the walls. Zoom out. So this doesn't show a door that's accessible, so I'm going to skip all of this because we don't know what that is, or it could be built-up walls or just air conditioners external. We work on net floor area, so those are indicated as open. Again, we skip all of those. No access doors are indicated. Yeah, I'm going to zoom right out, scroll down, zoom in again. I want to do this as quickly as you can with the least effort, but as accurate as possible. Go all the way across. Yeah, there's our first wall. Click there, click the corner. Just zoom out a bit. Let's get our orientation overall with the drawing. Here's the door. So we want to end up back here at the top. So let's zoom in. Let's measure this door cavity. Zoom out, go to the left. Zoom in. Right. Okay, and now we zoom out and start going up. Zoom in. Again, the beauty of this is it's for the pre-audit. So if we get to site and we do the audit, we will come back and adjust and amend our measurements as to what we find on site. Okay, and there we're looking for the open circle where you come on, there we go, and boom, area is closed off. So this area here, if we take again our 4 commas, 448 square meters in this area over here. Just zoom out. So I'm going to change the, in fact let's leave the shade of this one like this yellowish color. Press escape 3 times. So what is left? The only area that's left is this potential safe. So again, because it's an unknown, I'm just going to measure them together and we'll confirm that on site. Measurement tool, space, because it's also so small, and there's our open circle. Right click properties, let's make them red and take the opacity to, so full area red, borders purple or blue, and the opacity to about 37. And this one is 7.99, you can basically say 8 square meters. And there's our drawing. Okay, so now we have our block D ground floor measured, but we're still stuck. If we print this out as an A4 or an A3 for the day of our audit, what on earth do we know? How do we know what the sizes are? So what I prefer doing is actually adding the sizes on here, and I'm going to show you how to do that now as well. So we still have the measurement tool activated. See, if you right click now, it gives you measurement options. So hit the escape bar 3 times to make sure that you're out of all menus. So I'm going to just zoom out a bit. So the next tool I want to show you is adding text. If you right click and you select add text, it opens up a text box option. So here you can change your color, you can see the different sizes. So the main drawing headers, I make the largest size 72, but all the other notes I do at 48, so that it's nice and legible. You can read it even if you print it as an A4. And for the font, just as a standard, I always use Arial. So for the main headings, to say if it's ground floor or first floor, I use Arial bold, but for measurements, just a normal Arial. So here we can then start adding the square meterage. Okay, so now we buggered. I can't remember what the square meterage was. So let's just hit escape twice. Click on there. This one was 17.5 squares. Escape, add text, and we say 17.5 meters square. And we can move it to wherever we want. Press escape twice. This next area, 6.56, so let's make it 6.6 squares. Hit escape, add text. It'll keep those settings for you. You don't need to change it every time. And let's add 6.6 meters square. Now, you can either do, I wouldn't recommend to move these texts in these boxes because then it becomes difficult to edit. I always keep the text outside of the box. So you can either do that they sort of in line and you can number them, you know, measurement 1, measurement 2. I'm going to show you another tool now. So again there I've added a shortcut here at the top. And it took, believe it looks simple, but it took me forever to figure out where this tool was. So if you click here on the arrow, you can then draw an arrow line to that area and indicate which measurement refers to which area. It just makes it a lot more simpler during your audit and to make notes and say, you know, this area, that's what we found, it's not quite as big, there's a different wall or whatever. So hit escape again. This one 13.56, so I'm going to make it 13.6 squares. Escape, right click, add text, 13.6 squares. Hit escape, take our arrow, bring it in here. You'll find that the arrows, the first time you use it, is a lot smaller. If you right click on the arrow and you say properties, you can change the size of the arrow in the thickness setting over here. And it's standard 1 point thickness, and then it's only got a small arrow. I made it 3. And then to ensure that it always draws it like that, you right click on the arrow and say make current properties default. And that way, every time you draw an arrow, it will then always keep this format of the larger arrowhead. Okay. Next one, this area over here. This is the big one, the 448.5, so we're going to make it 448.6 squares. Right click, add text, 446.6 meters square. So now it's done as blue, so just click on the outline of that, select it all, select all the text. Easiest is just to click on the outline and just make that black. The reason why I did this, it's picked up the format here at the bottom where I used a blue, and Adobe tends to do that, pick up the format of where you're closest and typing for some other strange reason. Okay, hit escape again. This one 51.9 squares, right click, add text. See here, it gives you 12 in a different, the moment you start typing, similar rule applies, it'll pick up that format. Now I need to go back, I can't remember what the measurement was. Hit escape again, 448.6 squares. Add text, 448.6 meters square. And hit escape, add our arrow, hit escape again, 23.6 squares, right click, add text, 26.3 squares. What I'm going to do here is let's just escape. So So if we want to move this one out, that's where it gets a bit trickier. Let me show you this. But this is unfortunately the paid version to do this. You right click, you say edit a PDF. As I said, that's only in the paid version. And now you can move text around. And this one, we'll bring it down. Yeah, just double check the size. Yeah, you see, almost made a mistake there. 23.6 squares. Apologies. I had a gut feel said. Just double check it. 23.6 meters square. Hit escape again. 23.6. Yes. Let's add our arrow. This area. Escape twice. This one 51.9 squares. Escape, right click, add text. 51.9 meters square. Hit escape, put our arrow. Now, this one we still need to check, and these three. So the stores, their text, I prefer making red, the store areas, so that I specifically again focus on them and double check and actually highlight them as well if they need to be excluded. Let's just finish this one. 27.1. So I'm add it in here. 27.1. Escape, put our arrow. And now we can start with our store areas. Hit escape. So this one 25.6. So I'm going to right click here, add text, and I'm going to make the text red. 25.6. Double check again, hit escape. 25.6, yes. So here we put our arrow, hit escape, and this one, that was the 7.9. I'm going to just make it 8 squares, 8.0 squares if we round it. Right click, add text, 8.0, add our arrow, and then we add that small little block over here, hit escape twice, click on that. That was the 1.1 square. So right click, add text, 1.1 meters square. Escape, and we put our arrow there. Okay. So I'm going to zoom out completely. See now, if you were to print this as an A4 sheet, although you won't be able to see the small detail, all of this would be at a size that you can reach, read and see and reference. And if you get to your audit, and again you see it, and it notes pre-audit draft measured. So once we do the audit, I'll show you once we've done that video on doing the final report for your EPC certificate and confirming your final sizes. This is the pre-audit draft. So here you can see all your sizes. It's easy to make annotations of all of this. In conclusion, the last thing that I prefer doing is having the total measured area. So at the bottom here, or if there was space at the top, I'll then conclude and say, what is our total measured area? Right click, add text. Here we go. I'm just going to pause the video for a second and quickly take my calculator and add all of this up. Okay, so our total square meterage, what is I'm unhappy about? Total measured 1070.30. No, 1 comma. So again, this is for me, it's a main heading. the font black and change this to Arial black. So total measured area 1070 squares. So quick tip, when you add all of this up, it's happened a number of times to me, you start by a point and you don't know where did you start and where did you stop. Do it as a clock, using it going clockwise. Take the highest point in the middle. So here you start at 12 o'clock and you go clockwise and you just add all of them up, and then you know when you get to that you've added that one already because that's where you started. So just a small trick, start at the highest one, work clockwise to add up your numbers. And very important, do it twice, minimum twice, to make sure that you get the same result by adding this up, or go and type it all out in your Excel spreadsheet that you use for your pre-calculation of your EPC. That way you know that you've captured all the measurements as well. So there's our ground floor, completely measured out with all the sizes and dimensions, ready for our pre-audit. Maybe as an end note to just this training section on measuring of the drawings, the question might be, why did I exclude this area over here, which seems to be something like a balcony or open area? And I want to explain the logic behind that. So if we look at, this is ground floor, first floor, you see it's also excluded, so that's open and this is open here. First floor, sort of similar scenario of these cavities, like external area. Third floor, and our fourth floor. So what I've done is I went onto Google Earth. I actually installed the Google Earth app. It's easier to access every time instead of working on your internet browser. This is the entire complex. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 buildings in total. And this is the specific building that we looked at with the drawings now. So in this area that we've left open, which on all the drawings is shown as just a dotted line. So an entrance, you can see on this one, almost looks like windows, balconies or something, but there's no doors leading out to the premises. The regulation refers to like sort of net floor area. Here's a bit of a balcony with doors going out, but these are built up window boxes, if you want to call it as such. So to confirm, just as a pre-audit, if we look at this building from the opposite side, and again, we're sort of limited with what we can see in Google Earth, you can see that the floor area there almost looks like an open type entrance, and that the windows, it's like how's the right word, like an indented sort of built for the windows to put the windows in like a shadowed recessed area. So for the purposes of our audit, we'll leave that open until we can verify on site exactly how this was constructed and whether it's part of the net floor area of the building or not. And there's the little balcony that we saw on the one drawing. But you can see it's not covered, it's not under roof, it's completely open. So the net floor area, it's excluded from this net floor area that's under roof.
Thank you for watching our video. I hope that this helps you to do your EPCs much more efficiently and accurately, and that you're very successful in your EPC endeavors. Remember to like and subscribe.